ಈಗ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಫೋಕಸ್ಟು ನಾವು ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸ್ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಬಂದು ಪರಮ್ ರುದ್ರ ಸೂಪರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನ್ಯೂ ಎಚ್ ಪಿ ಸಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ವರ್ಚುವಲಿ ಲಾಂಚ್ಡ್ 3 ಪರಮ ರುದ್ರ ಸೂಪರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಿಷನ್. ಸೊ ಏನು 3 ಪರಮ್ ರುದ್ರ ಸೂಪರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸಿ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ that have exceptional processing capabilities, exceptional processing power, operating at thousands of times faster than the conventional computers. They have massive data processing capability. They have diverse research applications. And these Paramrudra systems have been launched in the National Supercomputing Mission. And the aim of this mission is to enhance India's research capacity by connecting institutions into supercomputing grid using national knowledge network that connects academic institutions and R&D labs across India. Okay. And supercomputing term anta nododadre, these are high performing mainframe systems capable of solving complex computations by splitting tasks into multiple parts and processing them simultaneously. Now ಇದನ್ನ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪಿಟಾಫ್ಲಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. The flops ಅಂದ್ರೆ floating points operations per second. 1 petaflop equals 1000 trillions operations per second ಅಂತ. Apart from that, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ there is also mention of HPC systems. So new HPC systems like Arca and Arunika were also launched. So what are these HPC systems? High performing computing. These are designed for specific tasks, often within a compute company. They also offer high processing power but may not be as powerful as supercomputers. And there is a speed difference. While supercomputers typically operate at petaflops, that is quadrillions of floating point operations per second, while HPCs operate at teraflop speeds, trillions of floating point operations per second. So difference ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಚ್ ಪಿ ಸಿ ಮತ್ತು ಸೂಪರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗು. ಅಂಡ್ ಪರಮ್ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ supercomputers, and recently 3 Paramarudra computing systems were launched. And remember, they were developed by Center for Development of Advanced Computing. Okay. ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ನೋಡೋಣ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಭಾರತ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್, ಭಾರತ್ ಜನ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸಿ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದಿನ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಆಫನ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಮಷಿನ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಮಷಿನ್ ಮಿಮಿಕಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್, ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ಸಾಲ್ವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್. ಅದೇ ತರ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಓಕೆ. ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್. ಓಕೆ. It is designed to understand, generate, interact with human language. So it is trained on most amounts of text data and is capable of performing tasks such as translation, summarization, question answering, text generations. So examples are GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and BharatJan. So right now they have launched India's first, it is also world's first government funded multimodal large language model known as BharatJan. Okay, this is an example of large language model. So large language model ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. Okay, it is capable of performing a number of tasks. So that is important from here. So we'll go to next news with respect to X-band radar. See, in last 2-3 years ನೀವು ನಾವು ಕೇರಳ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನೌ ಅಪ್ರೂವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರಡಾರ್ ಇನ್ ವಯನಾಡ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ರಡಾರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ರಡಾರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೇಂಜಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ. ಇಟ್ ಯೂಸಸ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ವೇವ್ಸ್ ಟು ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ and measure the range, angle, and velocity of those objects. How it works? It emits a pulse of electromagnetic radiation, and when that pulse hits an object, some of energy is reflected back. And by measuring the time it took for the pulse to return, its strength, the radar can determine how far away the object is and what direction it is moving in even what type of object it is. Okay. So that is what how radar works. And radar here ಇನ್ ಕೇರಳ ವಯನಾಡ್ ಏನ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಏನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರಡಾರ್. ಸೊ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಡಾಪ್ಲರ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಡಾಪ್ಲರ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಾಪ್ಲರ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್? ಡಾಪ್ಲರ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್, Doppler radar, you know, it uses electromagnetic waves in microwave range to detect location, direction, altitude, intensity, and movement of objects. It is based on Doppler effect. So Doppler effect, it which describes change in frequency of a signal when the source and observer are in relative motion. So when a source and observer both are in motion, Doppler effect is used to know the location, direction, and all those stuff. So this X band radar is used, installed now in Wayanad, and it will be based on Doppler effect, that you remember. And they have given here different types of Doppler radars based on, you know, wavelength and frequency. There is a classification, okay, L, S, C, X, K bands. And right now they are going to install X band radar, and it has a shorter wavelength. That radar has a shorter wavelength, which allows X band radar to detect smaller particles such as rain droplets and soil. Okay. So remember that, and you also remember Mission Mausam from here. Indian government plans to add another 56 Doppler radars, modernizing its meteorological infrastructure. So weather forecasting ability na enhance ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ Mission Mausam launch ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. As a part of that plan, they are going to install 56 Doppler radars. Next news is with respect to role of genome editing in curing hereditary cancers. So there is an international agency for research on cancer which says that 1 in 5 people will likely develop cancer in their lifetime. So almost there will be about 32 million cases by 2045, and half of these cases are going to come from Asia. And what the report says is there is an inherited cancer risk. About 10% of cancers are going to be caused by genetic mutations passed down from parents. Okay, see, genes are passed from parents to children, we know that. But what happens is genes are subject to mutations. There the mutations, meaning there is a change in the DNA material. So these changed genes, that is mutated genes, when transferred from parents to children, they can also cause a cancer in children. So children are also at the risk of uh, developing cancer. That's what the news is, and we call this as hereditary cancer syndrome. A hereditary cancer syndromes are genetic disorders where mutations in one or more inherited genes increase the risk of developing cancers. Okay, so basically the mutation is in tumor suppressor genes which normally protect cells from becoming cancerous. There is something called tumor suppressor genes. This protect that develop this prevent development of tumor, but the mutation has happened and they are no longer able to suppress the development of tumors. Okay, and they also talk here with respect to BRCA1, BRCA2 genes. These genes are, like when the mutations happens in these genes, BRCA1, BRCA2 genes, there is an increase in the risk of breast, ovarian, and fallopian tube cancers in women, and prostate and breast cancer in men. Okay, these are also important for understanding hereditary cancer. Okay, so problem ಹೆಂಗ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಾವು ಅಂದಾಗ we know there is a something called genome editing. So there is a mutation has happened, there is a change in the genetic material of genes, so that is causing a problem. So we will edit the gene, meaning we will remove that part which is causing a trouble. So that is what is genome editing. It involves adding, removing, or altering genetic material at specific points in the genome. And CRISP Cas9 technology is a popular genome editing tool which is faster, cheaper, more accurate, and more efficient than other methods. And this technology was adopted from a natural defense mechanism used by bacteria to fight viruses. So what bacteria does is this bacteria stores viral DNA segments in their genome, forming CRISP arrays. These arrays help them recognize and cut the DNA of attacking viruses using Cas enzyme. So this method they are adopted in CRISP CAS9 technology. Remember this. So what did we basically learn here is there is a risk of developing inherited cancers. Okay, from parents to offspring because of mutated genes. So we call it as hereditary cancer syndromes. There is a risk of developing cancer because of mutated genes. So important is basically again here genome editing you remember and BRCA1 genes you remember, not anything else important from there. Okay. The next news is with respect to stem cells offer hope for type 1 diabetes. So what is type 1 diabetes? See, basically we should know what is diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic disease that occurs when pancreas can no longer make insulin or body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces. Okay. So when this happens, it will lead to high blood sugar levels known as hyperglycemia. Insulin regulates blood sugar level, but when there is no longer insulin, blood sugar level will rise. This condition we call it as hyperglycemia. And if hyperglycemia is not treated, it can lead to serious health complications like blindness, kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, and lower limb amputation. There are two types, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is an autoimmune disease where body's immune system attacks and destroys insulin producing cells in the pancreas. And there is a type 2, a condition where body becomes resistant to insulin or does not produce enough insulin. Okay. So that is what is diabetes is. And what is currently in news now? A 25-year-old woman with type 1 diabetes. So this is type 1 diabetes. A body's immune system is attacking and destroying insulin producing cells. So a 25-year-old woman with type 1 diabetes began producing her own insulin within 3 months of receiving a transplant of reprogrammed stem cells. Okay. So type 1 diabetes ಅಂತ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿತು. There is no more insulin producing cells. So ಈಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ using the patient who is suffering from type 1, there are no insulin producing cells. Now she is producing her own insulin. So how she is able to produce her own insulin now? Because she has received a transplant of reprogrammed stem cells. So ನಮಗೆ stem cells ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. See, stem cells are specialized human cells with remarkable ability to develop into various cells types, including muscle cells, brain cells, and insulin producing cells. See here. So these stem cells can become any other type of cells. So you can program them to become a insulin producing cells. So type 1 diabetes, no more insulin producing cells, right? So you use stem cells and now you can have insulin producing cells and the patient will develop insulin on her own. This is how stem cell technology provides hope for type 1 diabetes. Okay. So remember that there are types of stem cells and all those basic information you can go through it. And the next news is with respect to PM launching unified genomic chip for cattle. So Prime Minister launched unified genomic chip for cattle along with indigenous technology for sex sorted semen production. So what is this chip we are talking about? It is a microchip that analyzes the genetic makeup of animals, providing valuable insights into their traits, health, and potential offspring. So already we have seen genes, right? The physical and biological traits are reflection of our genes. So in human beings also and in animals also it is same. So this microchip will analyze genetic makeup that will give information related to traits, health, and potential of offspring. And this is developed by Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying. There are two versions, Gau chip for cattle and Mahish chip for buffalo. So what the purpose? Assist farmers in early identification of young high quality bulls, enabling informed decisions regarding animal selection. Okay, that is the purpose of it. And there is something called about sex sorted technology. Sex sorting technology for cattle is a method used to separate sperm cells based on the sex chromosomes, allowing farmers to choose the sex of their offspring. See, basically ಈಗ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, in human beings sex ratio ಕಡಿಮೆ ಯಾಕಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲಿ ದೇ ಚೂಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಆಫ್ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಮೇಲ್. ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ದೇ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಲ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಫ್ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿ ಮೇಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಲ್ಸ್, ಮೇಲ್ ಬಫೆಲೋಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟೇಬಲ್, do not produce milk. So the industry people, those who are involved in dairying and all, they need female. Okay, that's why sex selection is important here to make the dairy industry economically viable and more returns from it. They are using this sex sorted technology. Remember it. Okay. And apart from that, it's there only. Next, we will for next news. It is with respect to smart insulin. So scientists have developed a smart insulin double NC 2215 that can adjust in real time to changes in blood sugar levels. Okay, a long sought for specifically diabetes treatment. Okay, this was long required. Okay, what is this smart insulin? Smart insulin is a drug designed to circulate in the body and turn on when it is needed, turn off when it's not. Okay, so high blood glucose irbodu, low blood glucose irbodu. Okay, so accordingly it will adjust itself. It consists of two key components, ring-shaped structure and glucoside molecule. How it works? When the blood sugar levels are low, glucoside binds to the ring, keeping the insulin inactive to prevent further lowering of blood sugar. So insulin ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಶುಗರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಬೈ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಟು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಟು ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಶುಗರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಫರ್ದರ್ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಶುಗರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಇನ್ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್. ಓಕೆ, ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸೈಡ್ ಬೈಂಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ದ ರಿಂಗ್ and keeps the insulin inactive so that there is no further decline in blood sugar level. And as glucose level rise, it makes insulin active. Okay, so that will transfer glucose into cells, reducing the blood sugar level. Okay, remember this. And next news is with respect to PSLV-37 mission re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. See, this was long ago in news because PSLV C-37 was launched in 2017 with Cartosat 2D as the main payload along with another 103 satellites. So in one single go, they had launched 104 satellites. That's why it was in news. Okay. So right now, what is the news in like the upper stage of PSLV C-37 re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. So there is a issue with respect to debris management. See, what happens is most of the satellites we are sending into the space. So once they are no more in use, what happens is they are redundant things in the space. So they become a debris. And once these debris keep on increasing in the space, they may collide. They may also collide with the working satellites and cause the damage. So it is important that we reduce the debris in space. So there is something called debris free space mission, an initiative by ISRO to make all Indian space missions debris free by 2030. This is their aim. You should know what are debris, what is the issue associated with it. From this news, there is no much particular, important factual. But remember, there is one thing called crew model atmospheric re-entry experiment. Remember, CARE experiment often seen in news is related to a straightforward factual question. It is crew model atmospheric re-entry experiment, which is crucial for India's Gaganyaan mission, a manned space mission of India. Okay, and also remember this 104 satellites in one go. There is next news with respect to NASA's Europa Clipper mission. Okay. So what is Europa Clipper? Europa Clipper is NASA's largest spacecraft for planetary exploration, and this spacecraft is going to orbit around Jupiter to perform a detailed investigation on Europa. Okay. So what is Europa? Europa is one of the moon of Jupiter. Europa is a moon of Jupiter that is considered one of the most promising places in our solar system to search for life beyond Earth. So there is a potential of primitive life in this moon, Europa. So they want to study this and explore. That's why the Europa's space mission, Europa Clipper mission. So factual question maybe with respect to Europa Clipper mission, what it is for, and with respect to Europa, what it is. It is a moon of Jupiter. So you should also know few factual information with respect to Jupiter. So it is a fifth planet, largest planet in the solar system. Okay, that you remember, and this also you remember. Jupiter has around 95 officially recognized moons. Okay, four largest moons, and Europa is one among them. The main purpose of this is to study ice encased moon Europa could be habitable because it shows strong evidence for an ocean of liquid water beneath the icy crust. So it is a ice covered moon. Europa is a ice covered moon of Jupiter. So it is completely covered with ice. There is might be a possibility of a oceanic water below this. So that might be harboring a microbial life. That is they want to check now. Euclid Space Telescope. See, European Space Agency's Euclid mission is with respect to exploring the composition and evolution of dark universe. So, dark universe is basically talking about dark matter and dark energy. Okay. So, what is dark matter? Dark matter is a mysterious substance that makes up a significant portion of the universe. While it has gravitational effects, it does not interact with light or any part of electromagnetic spectrum, making it invisible. Okay. So it is invisible because it does not interact with light or any electromagnetic spectrum. And dark energy is a hypothetical form of energy believed to permeate all space, causing accelerated expansion of the universe. Okay. So European Space Agency's Euclid mission is concerned with the dark universe, specifically dark matter and dark energy. You remember? You should know the meaning of these terms, important for prelims. In the next news, they have given some difference with respect to dark energy and dark matter. So dark energy constitutes about 68% of the universe, whereas dark matter makes up approximately 27% of the universe. Dark energy acts as a repulsive force driving the expansion of universe. So expansion of universe is because of dark energy, and dark matter exerts gravitational attraction holding galaxies together. Okay. And both cannot be directly observed. Okay. Remains elusive and detected through gravitational effects. So these things you remember. Basically, this information, repulsive force, and this acts as attractive force holding the galaxies together. Remember that. There is also mention of Lagrange points here. So the Euclid space mission will travel to Sun Earth Lagrange point 2 L2 1.2 million kilometer from Earth. So what are these Lagrange points? Are those positions in space where the gravitational forces of two large orbiting bodies like now Sun and Earth creates a region of equilibrium. Okay, there's almost a balance of gravitational pull from both the sides, allowing a smaller object to maintain its position with minimal fuel. There will be a pull from both the sides, but the space is area is such that very minimum fuel is required to maintain the equilibrium in this position. That's what it is saying. These are called Lagrange points. There are about 5 Lagrange points. So next news, Nodana. Next news is with respect to Haber-Bosch process. So what is news is 100 million tons of nitrogen are now removed from atmosphere and are converted into fertilizer via Haber-Bosch process, adding 165 million tons of reactive nitrogen to the soil. So Haber-Bosch process andre ಏನು? It involves transformation of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia via reaction with the hydrogen. Okay. and this process employs metal catalyst and operates under high temperature and pressures. So they have given here in the image how the Haber-Bosch process works. Basically, remember, it is transformation of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. Ammonia is a fertilizer used in the soil. Okay. So they have given here few information with respect to nitrogen. So you already know it is nitrogen is in the air, mostly in the form of N2, where two nitrogen atoms join together and they share three pairs of electrons to form triple bond, making the molecule nearly unbreakable. So energy required to break the nitrogen triple bond is so high that molecular nitrogen is nearly inert. Nearly inert means it is chemically not reactive with others because it requires very high energy to break that nitrogen molecule. Okay, that's why Haber-Bosch process also operates under very high temperature and pressures. And after this, you should also know with respect to reactive nitrogen, plants need these type of nitrogen to synthesize enzymes, protein, and amino acids. And the legumes can produce nitrogen independently, but other food crops such as rice, wheat, corn, potatoes, common fruit, vegetables cannot form the nitrogen on their own. And today, because of human population multiplying, nitrogen in agriculture soil is depleting faster. That's why we need fertilizers. Okay. So all the below information is with respect to nitrogen cycle, how it operates and all, even the image. So instead of reading here information in bits and pieces, you can go back to your environment static material. As we discussed in teal carbon, I was talking about carbon cycle, which where I said it is a one example of biogeochemical cycle. So same thing here also they have mentioned nitrogen cycle. It explains a movement of nitrogen in the environment through biotic and abiotic components, how it transfers. That is what is nitrogen biogeochemical cycle is. They have given it through the figure. You can refer your static uh, book material for this instead of reading here because it will be given in very detailed. Next news is with respect to fluorescent nanodiamonds. So recent study showed that something called Nature Communications researchers at Purdue University levitated fluorescent nanodiamonds in vacuum and spun them at high speeds. What are these fluorescent nanodiamonds? These are nanometer sized diamonds composed of carbon nanoparticles. Okay, there are certain key characters also. Production process created through high temperature and high pressure. Stability, they're stable under light and non-toxic. Fluorescent, meaning a property of some materials to emit light of lower frequency when irradiated with light of higher frequency, when interacted with. Okay, and this, fluorescent nanodiamonds have a number of applications in medical, in industries, although also in quantum computing and biosensing. There are certain terms associated with this. One is quantum spin. Quantum spin is fundamental property of tiny particles like electron that can be thought of as a kind of intrinsic rotation, basically up and down. And Berry phase is a concept again in quantum mechanics that describes a phenomenon where state of a particle changes as it moves around a closed path in space. Remember this much, no need to go for in detail. Okay. Next news is with respect to nonyl phenol ethoxylates and nonyl phenol. ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ನಾನಿಲ್ ಫಿನಾಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಂಡೋಕ್ರೈನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಪ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಅಂತ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಟಾಕ್ಸಿಕ್ ಲಿಂಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಏನಿದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, they are saying that government has to come out with the measures to reduce because it is a highly environment polluting. See, basically ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ about NPE and NPs. NPs and NPs are surfactants. So surface reactive agents. ಈಗ ವಾಟರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರೋತಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ರಿವರ್ ಯಮುನಾ. ಸೊ ನೊರೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ NPs and NPEs. ಓಕೆ, so these chemicals are recognized as endocrine disruptors, meaning they damage hormones in the body. They are toxic to aquatic life and also harmful to human health, particularly impacting reproductive and development ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಆಸ್ ವಿ ಸೇಡ್ ಎನ್ ಪಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ. Nonylphenol and nonylphenol ethoxylates. These are surfactants, meaning surface react active agents. They are amphiphilic molecules, meaning they have, a water attracting part and water reacting part, a repulsive part. Okay. So the at the surface they align themselves so that hydrophobic part is in the air. So that is water repulsive part. Hydrophilic part, which is water attractive part, this is in the water. Okay. So many countries have banned the use of NPs in detergents. India lacks specific regulations for NPs, though NP is banned in cosmetic sector since 2009. So they have certain issues. It needs to be regulated. That's what the report is saying. The report highlights the widespread use of nonylphenol ethoxylates and nonylphenol in India and associated environment and health risk. Okay, river pollution, environmental pollution is happening. There is a threat to human life, also health. So it needs to be regulated, is what the report talks about. Next is with respect to cloud chamber under Project Mosam. So under Project Mosam, cloud chamber is being established at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology in Pune. Okay. So cloud chamber usually resembles a closed cylindrical or tubular drum. Water vapor and aerosols are injected into the chamber. Under controlled humidity and temperature conditions, clouds can develop inside the chamber, and the facility will allow scientists to study how seed particles from cloud droplets or ice particles. Okay. See, ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನಾವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ. ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಪರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಚೇಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಪರ್ ಅಂಡ್ aerosols. ಸೊ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಪರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಂಡೆನ್ಸ್, aerosols ವಿಲ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಅ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಟು ಕಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಚೇಂಬರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ಮಿಟೋರಾಲಜಿ ಪುಣೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮೋಸಮ್. And India's cloud seeding experience, India's CAPEX project demonstrated that cloud seeding can boost rainfall by up to 46% at specific sites and approximately 18% over 100 square kilometer area in rain shadow regions. Okay. So remember the CAPEX project with respect to enhancing cloud seeding experience rainfall. Okay. Remember that. Next news is with respect to National Fund for Rare Diseases. Okay. So what Delhi High Court has directed Union Government is to establish National Fund for Rare Diseases. So ಏನಿದು rare diseases ಅಂತ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? It is a condition with a low prevalence affecting small population. ಸೊ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ನಾವು ರೇರ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ರೇರ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ just 1% in 1,000 people or less than that. Very few people will be getting affected. There might be genetic rare diseases, rare cancers, tropical diseases, and degenerative disorders. Okay. Globally, over 7,000 rare diseases exist, but only 5% are treatable. See, ತುಂಬಾ ಜನಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ತಂದು ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಇಶ್ಯೂನ. ಬಟ್ ಇವು ರೇರ್ ಡಿಸೀಸಸ್ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ರೆಡಿನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಸ್ ರೇರ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ estimation suggests that between 80 to 100 million people are affected by rare diseases in India, and about 75% of those are children. Okay. And many of these are even life threatening, contributing to high child mortality. So we also have national policy for rare diseases. Obviously the aim will be to reduce the prevalence and incidence of rare diseases in India. There are various categories: financial support, center of excellences, you can go through it. And there is also national rare disease cases committee. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಏನು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, just know why they are called rare and what is the status. They are, most of them are not treatable because there are no vaccines available for them. And next news, again with straightforward factual information, with respect to diphtheria, WHO team reaches Rajasthan's Deeg after 7 children die of diphtheria. So diphtheria ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? It is a bacterial infection caused by Cyanobacterium diphtheria, spreads through respiratory droplets, usually from cough or sneeze. Infection also occur through open sores like skin lesions and that. So death rate is up to 15% in children. There is treatment available: anti-diphtheria serum, penicillin, antibiotics such as erythromycin. Okay, and other details are given. You can just go through. It is a contagious bacterial infection and then spreads to transpiratory droplets. So same thing they have given here. And next news is with respect to India's trachoma. India has eliminated trachoma as a public health concern, is what WHO is saying. Okay, so far, various diseases have been eliminated. One is smallpox, eradicated globally in 1980s, but even in India, India's last case was reported in 1975. Polio is also India eradicated. India was declared polio free in 2014, and now trachoma declared eliminated as public health problem in 2017. So no more repetitive case. That's why now it has said India has eliminated. If the case has repeated, then you say it is not yet eliminated. Okay. So what is this trachoma? Trachoma is a disease of the eye caused by infection with the bacterium Chlamydia trachomatis. If left untreated, it causes irreversible blindness, and it is also a neglected tropical disease. Okay. So neglected tropical disease ಅಂತ ಏನಂತ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So those diseases can be caused by viruses, protozoa, helminth, and bacteria. They are given a list of neglected tropical disease like dengue, chikungunya, rabies, Chagas disease, cysticercosis, guinea worm, river blindness, and all this stuff. Okay. What are neglected tropical diseases? Are a diverse group of tropical infections which are common in low-income populations in developing regions, specifically Africa, Asia, and Americas, caused by a variety of pathogens we have seen. These are called neglected because they are almost absent from global health agenda. ಸೊ ಅವನ್ನ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಫೋರಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ. And there is a next news is with respect to Nikshay Poshan Yojana for tuberculosis. See, Nikshay Poshan Yojana is a centrally sponsored scheme for under National Health Mission by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It supports of giving rupees 500 a direct benefit transfer for monthly nutritional needs for tuberculosis patients. Now they are going to increase this benefit to from 500 to 10,000 rupees. This is what the news is. Okay. And tuberculosis, it is also infectious disease caused by mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria affecting the lungs anta. Those basic details you should know. And next news is with respect to Escherichia coli. Okay. uh, Recently E. coli infection was occurred in US. It spread through the fast food. Okay. What has happened is McDonald has now stopped serving quarter pounder patties and silver onions because of this infection. What is this Escherichia coli? It is a rod-shaped bacterium of Enterobacteriaceae family, commonly found in intestines of humans and animals. So these naturally occur in human intestines and they're not pathogenic. They do not harm us. They're harmless. Okay. While most strains are harmless, even beneficial to us, some can cause severe infections and illness. So that's what has happened now in United States. So how does E. coli causes illness? Certain strains known as Shiga, a toxin producing E. coli produce toxin called Shiga. This toxin damages the small intestine lining, causing diarrhea, including bloody diarrhea. Okay. So this has caused the infection in US. So Escherichia coli, basically they are already there in our intestine. Most of them are not harmless, but certain strains can be harmless. One is Shiga toxin producing E. coli. That you should remember. Okay. Next news, Bandhu, is with respect to all antibiotics in the definition of new drug. So recently, Drugs Technical Advisory Board recommended inclusion of all antibiotics in the definition of new drugs. Okay. So ಏನಿದು ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಆಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು medicines that are used to treat bacterial infection, destroy the bacteria and all the stuff. So these antibiotics, all those antibiotics should be added into the definition of new drugs is what the authority is saying. So the new drug ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? A new drug is defined under NDCT rules 2019, new drugs and clinical trial rules. So according to it, new drug is one that has not been significantly used or approved as safe and effective by the central licensing authority in India. So it includes those drugs already approved but now proposed with modified claims. Okay. And it can also include a new drug can be fixed dose combination of approved drugs already. Okay. This is what the news is. And you should also because what the board is, Drugs Technical Advisory Board. This works under Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Okay. It is the highest decision making body on technical matters related to drugs in the country. It was constituted under Drugs Act, Cosmetic Act 1940. It is part of Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Okay. And this Central Drug Standard Control Organization is a national regulatory authority for drugs and cosmetics. It enforces Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 1940 to ensure patient safety, efficacy, and product quality. Also oversees the approval of drugs, clinical trials, and quality of imported drugs. Okay, that is what approval of drugs, the Drugs Technical Advisory Board, which is part of CDSO. So ಮುಂದಿನ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬಂದು ಬಾಡಿ ರೌಂಡ್ನೆಸ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಸಾರಿ, ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್. ಬಾಡಿ ರೌಂಡ್ನೆಸ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್, ಎಸ್, one second, there is some issue here. Yes. A new metric called body roundness index is emerging as a more accurate measure of health risk compared to body mass index. So body mass index traditionally used to assess a person's health by calculating ratio of weight to height. Okay. So issue with body mass index is it does not take into account fat distribution or distinguish between muscle and fat. So nowadays they are going for body roundness index. This is better in the indicator with respect to person's health. So it measures health risk by taking both height and waist circumference into account. It provides more nuanced understanding of body fat distribution, particularly abdominal fat, which is linked to greater health risk. Okay. Some differences they have given. 19th century BRI is in 2013. Calculation inputs height and weight, BMI. This is height and waist circumference. And health insight, basic indicator of overall body weight, BMI is. And BRI focuses on body fat distribution, particularly abdominal fat. So indicator BMI indicates general health risk. BRI indicates better predictor of risk like diabetes and heart disease. And accuracy can misclassify muscular individuals as overweight or obese. Does not show fat distribution. And BRI is more precise in assessing health risk by considering fat distribution. Okay. So body roundness index, you remember basically a new matrix used to assess health risk taking into account height and waist circumference. Okay, remember that. And there are other things like news in short, cabinet approves 1000 crore venture capital fund to support firms in space tech domain. So no need to go in detail. There is another news like major atmospheric Charamco experiment maze observatory. Okay, Department of Atomic Energy has inaugurated the Mace Observatory, Hanle, Ladakh. Remember, and this is the highest imaging Cherenkov telescope in the world. It is facility to detect Cherenkov radiation produced by high energy particles like gamma rays and cosmic rays. So radiation which is caused by high energy particles like gamma rays and cosmic rays we call as Cherenkov radiation. Okay. And telescope will study high energy gamma rays, providing valuable insight into the most energetic phenomena in the universe. So not that much important, okay, from prelims. Next news is with respect to space-based surveillance mission, and Cabinet Committee on Security has approved for phase 3 of Indian space-based surveillance. Okay, surveillance. So CCTV camera ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವೆಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So space-based surveillance. So space is in the, you will monitor the nation security. So Cabinet Committee on Security has approved for space-based surveillance phase 3. Okay. So project involves launching 52 spy satellites in low Earth and geostationary orbits. So it will enhance India's space surveillance capabilities. National Security Council Secretariat and Defense Space Agency under the Ministry of Defense are managing this. Okay. List of it are basically another important factual information is Cartosat series of satellites are involved in space-based observation. Okay, that you remember for security purposes. Next is Jiangmen Underground Neutrino Observatory, GNO. Okay, so this is in China's southern Guangdong province. It is a project of costing almost $300 million. Neutrino observatory it is, and it will start gathering soon. Start gathering data on neutrinos, a product of nuclear reactions. So neutrinos are product of nuclear reaction to help solve one of the biggest mysteries in particle physics. And these are location information, basically to studies neutrinos. Remember those. And SpadeX information is there. SpadeX. See, recently Hyderabad-based company handed over two 400 kg class satellites to ISRO, which will be part of space docking experiment planned by Space Agency this year. So, space docking experiment SpadeX is a mission by ISRO to develop autonomous docking technology. It involves two vehicles, Chaser and Target. These two will come together and connect in the space. Okay. Uh, so these are the basic details they are given here. You can go through. The next is with respect to white dwarf star. And what the news is, first rocky planet has been spotted orbiting a burned out star called a white dwarf. So what is this white dwarf star? It is a stellar core left behind after dying star. So star nuclear reactions will be happening and it will be emitting a light, right? So when the nuclear reactions end, the star dies out, no more light coming out of it. Okay. So white dwarf star is a stellar core left after dying star. So it happens after exhaustion of its nuclear fuel and expelled its outer layer to form a planetary nebula. There is a term called Chandrasekhar limit. It is 1.44 times the mass of sun, is a maximum mass theoretically possible for a stable white dwarf star. Okay. It has to has minimum 1.44 times the mass of sun to become a white dwarf star. Otherwise, it will not be white dwarf star. A star that ends its nuclear burning lifetime with a mass greater than Chandrasekhar limit must become either a neutron star or black hole. Okay, greater than Chandrasekhar limit, that will become a star. Sorry, I said wrong here. So star with mass of 1.44 times that of sun will become a dwarf star, and higher than that will become a neutron star or a black hole. Remember the information. Chandrasekhar limit is important. 1.44 times the mass of sun. Higher than Chandrasekhar limit will be a neutron star or black hole. Lesser than that will be a white dwarf star. And there are a lot of factual information again here. Next is with respect to Mechazilla. SpaceX has achieved a significant milestone in space exploration by landing its Starship rocket using an innovative structure called Mechazilla. So what is this Mechazilla? It is SpaceX 400 feet tall rocket catching structure at Starbase, Texas. So you can see here, rocket is coming, right? Eventually it has been captured. So this tower like structure, you are calling it as Mechazilla. Okay, so no need to go in detail, just remember the term Mechazilla, a rocket catching tower like structure of SpaceX. Then there is a disease, murine typhus. It was identified in a 75-year-old man from Kerala. It is actually a rare bacterial disease This person has returned from Vietnam and Cambodia. Marine typhus, details about marine typhus. It is a infectious zoonotic disease. So a disease which spreads between humans, animals to humans and all. We call it those as zoonotic disease. It is caused by flea-borne bacteria, Rickettsia typhi, transmitted to humans through bites of infected fleas. So fleas, these animals, like they bite humans, suck the blood, even animals. So when they bite, they will be transferring the disease. Primary reservoirs are rodents, rats, mice, mongoose, and these are highly prevalent in coastal, tropical, and subtropical regions where rat populations are high. Murine typhus. Remember those basic details. Next one is Marburg viral disease. Okay, outbreak has seen in Rwanda, which has resulted in death of 6 persons. The virus Marburg viral disease, it belongs to filovirus family, which also includes Ebola. It was first identified in the German city in 1967. It is endemic. So endemic diseases are those which are found in particular geographical area affecting particular people. So this disease, Marburg viral disease, is endemic to sub-Saharan Africa region, and most of the outbreaks are seen in originated in Africa only, and it is highly infectious hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola. Remember those things. Carrier agents also you should know: African fruit bat, African green donkeys. Next news is with respect to India's first demonstration facility for biopolymers in Pune. Okay, so it has been inaugurated. What are biopolymers? You should know. These are natural polymers. So polymers are large molecules which are made up of connected chains of monomers. And what are monomers? Monomers are small single molecules that join together to form larger molecules known as polymers. So examples of biopolymers are polynucleotides and polypeptides, polysaccharides also. These are important because they have applications specifically in industries such as food manufacturing, packaging, and biomedical engineering due to their natural properties. And next news is with respect to Sarko's suicide pod. You might have often come across the terms like euthanasia, passive euthanasia, active euthanasia, right? So sarcopod is one device which is in favor of euthanasia. Okay, pro euthanasia it is. Recently, the death of 64-year-old American woman in Switzerland has brought sarcopod, a controversial suicide device, under legal scrutiny. So, what is sarcopod? Okay, uh, it is sarcopod, a short form for sarcophagus, a term used for stone coffins historically in royal burials, developed by Philip Naschek, who is a pro-euthanasia group founder. The pod was introduced in a 2019. Okay, it works by releasing nitrogen gas, rapidly lowering oxygen level inside the capsule. Once the process is initiated, the user loses consciousness within a minute and death follows shortly. So people who want to die peacefully, who want to end their life, they will go for sarcopod. Okay. So this is news with respect to science and technology.